We'll go around the room and introduce the other PSA board members on the committee.
Vince Cox, Pinellas County.
Jeff Dow, wonderful City of Dunedin.
Tom Reed, City of South Pasadena.
Deborah Big Sanders, City of St. Petersburg.
Fantastic, thank you for that. Now is the time for public comment. Are there any members of the public wishing to speak? See none. Thank you for that. First action item would be to approve the February 21st, 2024 minutes. Do I have a motion for the approval of those minutes?
Move approval.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Excellent. That passes unanimously. The next item is something I was shocked that you guys passed on last month, but here we are. We now need to elect a committee chair and vice chair. Are there any nominations?
I nominate Josh Schulman for chair.
I do not accept. I'm term limited in September. I don't
Yeah.
think it's worth going through this process again in 6 months.
Yeah, he's
I
leaving.
nominate Deb Sanders. I would
I'm pointing
nominate.
at you.
This sounds like a game of not in.
Yeah, I'm pointing at you.
I am not on the committee.
Yeah, but who's not here today? Who's absent?
Dave Albritton is our current vice chair. He's not here. Patty Reed, I believe,
He'd
is
be a good
also.
chair.
Yeah, I was gonna nominate the vice.
Yeah, I nominate, I go along with Deb.
Okay, so we're nominating David Albritton for chair.
Mhm.
Can we elect somebody who's not present?
That's actually the best way to do it.
Fair enough.
It's the least amount of opposition.
There you go, fair enough, I like
Mr.
it.
Chair, I will note that last meeting when this was on the agenda and he was chairing the meeting, he specifically deferred it. He decided to defer it to you, to this meeting.
I know, I was watching that from jury duty. I watched the meeting. And I was like, what are you doing? Just keep going. So do I hear Patty Reed as the vice chair? Is that what you were saying, or?
I was just asking a question.
Oh, okay.
Like a point of order, so.
She's on.
But I think Patty would be great.
I thought she's not on
Yeah,
planning
she's
also?
on here now too.
Yeah, she's on planning as well. Oh.
Okay, good.
Okay, so we have chair nomination. What about vice chair?
Sorry I'm late.
Yeah,
You're just in time to be
You're the new
nominated.
chair.
Yeah, you're chair now.
I've had enough politics here lately.
Hey, chair now.
Congratulations, Brian.
Still seeking a nomination for vice chair.
I nominate Patty Reed.
Fantastic. So we have a nomination of David Albritton for chair and Patty Reed for vice chair. Is there a second of that motion?
Second, I second
Fantastic. All those in favor?
it.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing that Commissioner Albritton did not oppose, that passed unanimously. Thank you. Is that officially take effect on our next meeting?
That's fine.
Okay, you don't mind if I just continue going with the one action item we have? Fantastic. It's, and actually, I lied, it's not even an action item, it's an information item. The Clearwater Transit Center update, Abhishek is here to give an update on the Clearwater Transit Center project and why it is necessary to replace the current facility. You have the floor, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, and members of the Planning Committee. I'm Abhishek Dayal, Director of Project Management, and I'm here to talk about this very important project that's number one on our priority list in our capital program. And the reason why I'm bringing this up here is I will be coming back in front of you and the board with a series of action items requesting your approval to move this project forward. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about those specific action items down the slides. So just to set the context, the reason why we need this new project, the Clearwater Transit Center project, is because to replace our Park Street terminal. Now this is a very important facility located in North Pinellas County. It's really the hub where all the buses come together and then they span out mostly in North Pinellas County. So it was built back in the 80s, 1982 to be specific, and we've had series of issues with this facility. Besides the fact that it's a 40-plus-year-old facility, this facility was built with a certain roof height that prevents a lot of the buses. All buses that were purchased after 2017, they are unable to get under the roof of this facility. And you can kind of see on this image right here, the bus is barely making out of that facility. It was also built pre-ADA, and so it's not ADA compliant, which poses an issue for our ADA passengers as well. We've had, and this facility was built with only 8 bus bays, and there are 15 bus routes that currently serve this facility. And as a result, most of the buses they have to park outside on Garden Avenue. And that causes issues for our passengers having to go out of the facility, particularly when it's raining, to catch their bus. So it's not a good way to provide that service to our riders. And recently, we've seen a lot of structural issues with our roof as well. Hats off to our maintenance team who are doing their best to make sure it's a safe environment for our riders, but we still have issues with this 40-year-old facility that we have to take care of. And as a result, we've run into costly maintenance on an annual basis. So for those reasons, we are looking to build this new facility, and I wanted to just give a brief history of how long we've been looking at this project. Starting with 1982, when the Park Street Terminal was built. And as early as in the 90s, we started looking into expanding the facility, the Park Street Terminal facility, looking at different locations where we could build a bigger facility. In 2011, the city of Clearwater purchased the land at 710 Court Street from now Council Member David Albritton. Thanks for your contribution to this, and that really spurred the city and PSTA and other entities into looking at another location for this new facility. We completed site selection analysis. We worked with Pinellas County, the city of Clearwater, to find out where this would be a good location. Because at the time, the city was also looking for a site for a city hall project. So many times we looked at potentially co-locating with the city hall. We also talked about co-locating with the county offices, all 3 entities co-locating. So we had also all combinations of studies that we had looked at in the past 10, 15 years. So more recently, in 2020, the city staff had completed a city hall site selection process, and they brought forward that recommendation. And then at that time, the council recommended that maybe Court Street and Court and Myrtle Street property should be more suitable for the PSDA's multimodal site. And so in 2021, the council directed staff to work with PSDA on a land swap so that the city could get the Park Street site and we would get the Court and Myrtle site. And so we started working on design in 2021, and then in 2022, after multiple attempts, we were successful in securing a RAISE grant for $20 million. So we finally had funding to start construction for this project and really get into the project in full swing. And then not until 2024, and in fact tomorrow, we are finally going to be closing on the land that the city is providing. So we've signed this closing documents, and it would be effective tomorrow, March 21st. So it's a big day for us and for the project. And again, all thanks to Councilmember Albritton for helping us facilitate those conversations, coordinating, and really championing this project. So really appreciate all your assistance. Coming to the new site, the new project, we are looking to have it a LEED certified multimodal facility, so it's not just for buses. We're going to incorporate other modes that people are going to use to access the transportation amenities here. We will have electric vehicle charging infrastructure so that our burgeoning list of buses that we use, they can charge the buses here.
Thank you.
We'll also have enhanced passenger waiting areas with real-time bus arrival departure information as part of this project. Given the fact that this site is right next to the Pinellas Trail, a regional trail, we will have enhanced bike storage facilities for those bike riders to be able to park and really have that good relationship with this facility, as well as the rideshare and paratransit drop-off and pickup, because not everyone's going to walk or connect using a bus. They might use our Uber or Lyft type service as well to get on the bus. Our roof structure is going to incorporate solar panels so that it brings in that resiliency for our power needs, as well as this is a new thing that we're looking into, is an on-site retail or a restaurant or small coffee shop for our riders, so that they can also have additional amenities while they're waiting for their bus service. They can pick up a coffee or a sandwich in that site. This is the site plan that we are looking at. Again, the purple or the pink is where the rideshare, Uber, Lyft pickup drop-off location would be. And our main entrance would be at the corner of Southeast Avenue and Franklin. The city is building a city hall just to the north of us. So definitely a lot of relationship there. The blue or the purple box here on the northwest corner, this is where the on-site retail coffee restaurant type location would be, along with a main sort of an indoor lobby for riders to get in and enter this terminal. We'll also have an indoor waiting area here, as well as public restrooms. And then we're going to incorporate public art element also as part of this project, because this is such a prominent location in downtown Clearwater. We wanted to make sure that as people are coming into downtown Clearwater, they can see the site. It provides for that welcoming environment as they enter downtown. Here are just a few renderings, and I should also mention that we worked with city staff quite diligently over the past several months to make sure that the design was consistent with their downtown development code. All the requirements are met as part of this project. So we worked with the planning as well as the engineering group to make sure that all the requirements are met. Here's a view from the Franklin and Southeast Avenue corner, and you can see the retail the retail and the restaurant space can be visible from here. And here's the Pinellas Trail, and then this is the rideshare pickup drop-off area, and then the bike storage would be located right next to that. Another view for the whole site, you can see the key corner, which is again the prominent corner that we'll be working with city planning staff to incorporate some public art elements, so that as the public is coming into downtown, that's the first thing that they see, and it provides for that welcoming place for people to get in. And then the retail and the offices, the PSTA offices will be located here, the indoor waiting area for passengers, and then the restroom facility out here. And then the City Hall project is going to be located just north of Franklin Street. Another rendering showing the kind of the periphery of the site. We've incorporated some new elements into this. Besides the landscaping to soften out the edges of the project, we are also incorporate lighted bollards for pedestrian safety, particularly during the evening hours, so it's safe to walk around the facility. And then skylights on the roof, so that during the daytime they can provide natural daylight into the waiting area. Another thing I wanted to just quickly mention here is the location of this terminal. It's right on Court Street and Myrtle. Last month, the board approved a planning study to study Alt 19 as a future corridor. And so it's right on Alt 19. And then just in the last meeting, we were talking about the TIA to the Beach Express service as a potential service to entice tourists. That is right by our site as well. So it's really at a confluence of two major corridors that we just looked at. And the third piece that's very important to us is the presence of CSX tracks right next to the site. That can provide opportunities for future passenger rail or any other technology based transportation options using those CSX tracks or roadway or right of way. So I just wanted to emphasize how important this location is in terms of all those future corridors, transportation corridors that we're looking at. So as I noted, in the next few months, I will be coming back for the committee and the board approval on several contract changes to move this project forward. The first one that I'll be asking for your approval on next month would be for a project management, construction management services contract. This would be specifically for the Clearwater Transit Center project, so that is currently under solicitation right now. So we anticipate bringing back to the committee and the board in April to hire this contract. Essentially, they will oversee the design firm which the board awarded the contract to CDM Smith a few years ago. We'll be bringing back a contract modification in summer of this year. This is based on all the work that they've done working with the city staff to make sure that it meets all the code, the requirements for the downtown development plans. And then in summer of next year, we anticipate hiring a contractor to start the construction for this project. So we'll be coming back in summer of next year for your approval and then the board's approval for this contract. So a lot of exciting things happening on this project. Again, I want to thank Councilmember Albert for all your support and all the assistance you've provided. And we're really looking forward to moving this project forward onto the next phase.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Albritton?
Okay, Abhishek, I had talked to the city manager yesterday about progress on the letter that they were requiring for the repairs before we do the swap, because we're gonna be leasing back to you for a while you get things started. And I wasn't aware that already was submitted and approved, so tomorrow is really when the closing is gonna take place?
Yes, that is, we've received the closing documents. We are in the process of wiring the closing
It's already been wired.
funds, and it's been wired, actually.
City wired.
Simultaneously, we've been working with the building department on the roof repairs. We've already issued a notice to the contractor to start the work.
Okay, good,
So, yes.
very
Good to
good.
go.
It's nice to learn that it was,
Michael Dilk sent Abhishek a nice congratulations note yesterday.
oh, nice. Okay, very good. Glad things are moving forward finally.
Yes, they are.
Any other questions or comments? No?
Joe?
Commissioner
Abhishek, on your solar panels, what do we know the percentage of offset that's gonna be, or is that net zero?
We are still designing that. It's obviously a function of the coverage, if we do it on all the roofs or just the kind of the middle aisle. So that's still part of the design.
Okay, so, yeah, and that question came about just because I saw the design that's in the presentation didn't show total roof coverage, so I was
Right.
just curious about that. And your bike storage, can you just expand on that a little bit? Are you talking about bike racks? Or what do you, when you say bike storage, what do you mean by bike storage?
We're looking at covered bike storage, but not fully enclosed, not bike lockers.
Okay.
So we are looking at covered bike storage, both long-term and short-term for bikers. And
Will they
again,
be undercover, or is the purpose of the coverage themselves to keep them out of the elements?
to keep them out of the elements.
Thank you.
Did your architect for your Dunedin City Hall do don't you have solar panels on that?
We do.
And does it
Is
fully?
it net zero? No, it does not.
Oh.
Don't get me started.
But they didn't calculate that for you, or?
Yeah. What do you mean by, do they calculate that for me?
I mean, you knew that it was not gonna be net zero from the design.
Yes, yes, and well, it's a longer conversation than here, but we also consider solar panels we have in other buildings, and we're trying to look at the city itself becoming net zero, which doesn't necessarily mean each individual building is net zero. We also have a partnership with Duke on some solar panel fields, and is that considered part of our net zero capability? But we're trying to look at all of that.
I should also note that we also did a tour of the Dunedin City Hall a couple of months ago to hear from their experience, some of the best practices on solar panels, the partnership with Duke, and some of the materials they use that we could maybe incorporate as part of this project as well. So that was very helpful.
And we just got 3 Green Globes on our city hall, so,
Very nice.
which is a big deal in construction world.
Commissioner Albritton?
Just a quick question, are we planning on doing any charging loops here or not,
What do you?
on the new, center?
Oh, for vehicles.
buses.
For buses, yes.
Yes.
We
Oh,
have
really?
EV charging infrastructure, yes.
Not the.
Not for the bus?
Yeah, for the buses, but not like the in the ground loops.
Oh, okay.
There'll be plug-in?
They'll be plug-in.
Yes.
Plugins.
I'm sorry, yeah, there was plug-in infrastructure, not the inductive charging.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the presentation. I'm always encouraged when I see these things starting to come together. And I also appreciate you talking about the site location, because I know that there were several members of our board at the last meeting that had some reservations about moving forward with the agreement based on the location. And I don't know exactly what those reservations were, just that they thought it should be on alternate 19, but it is on alternate 19 because alternate 19 moves. Do you know, have you met with those board members or discussed?
Yes, and
addressed those concerns?
yes, as you're accurately recalling, I think all of the Pinellas County Commissioners voted against the land resolution that did pass. And so I have talked to all of them about their concerns. I think there was just a lot of misinformation about some of the issues from what I can tell. One was the issue about the Alt 19 study and that service and how this would fit into that. And 2 was whether or not PSDA was working well with the city. And largely credited to Commissioner Albritton, but as Abhishek said, over the last 6 months, the city has had a lot of input. The design is radically different than it was, say, 6 months ago. All, I think, much to the city's pleasure and to meet their downtown development code, and to be much more integrated with the city. And I think that is, they now know that, the county commissioners. The third thing that I heard from them was, again, the county, Pinellas County provided some penny for Pinellas dollars for the first time in history to a transit project to fund this project. And there is some concern that by all of them that happened and that they might want to reverse that at some point in the future. And so thanks to Abhishek, because we are doing contingency planning on if that happens, and we have to find other funding, but we're confident that we will be able to find the funding to keep the project on track if that happens. So we'll just have to see if that ultimately happens.
Okay. Commissioner Gabbard?
Just because I'm an absolute nut on diversifying our transportation in the county, I know it was mentioned a little bit at the City of Clearwater a year ago or whenever it was, but we talked about waterborne transportation, and I know there was a thought of an idea of maybe gondolas going out to Clearwater Beach. And I did ask about it earlier, but I'm asking again, just within this design or in this concept, is there room for having, I guess, a stop on a gondola at this location? Because if we're gonna have something like that, I would think that this would be the place that you would have a connection point out to the beach. And I don't know whether that would be a good stopping point. I don't know whether it's any conceptual idea of guests moving forward with gondolas. I don't know any of that. I'm just trying to anticipate the future at all.
I can answer, hopefully I can answer that. We did do a study, St. Pete and Clearwater. St. Pete kind of turned it down. Clearwater, I thought it was a good study, but it wasn't 100% complete because we have so much going on along the waterfront with Magic Clearwater, the new construction on the bluff and the old city hall. They really didn't have a point where they could bring it in to the mainland. They came up with like 4 different points. So it's a study that will have to be, and Clearwater's really not interested in funding that. It would be a P3 or it would be probably a private person that could say they'd take it on. But I don't know, there are places around that area where they could bring it in close to this bus terminal. I don't think it would come into exactly this property. I don't think we have the room for it, but close there is if it moves forward. And I don't anticipate probably this moving forward for a while.
I get that. I just like the idea of connection, transportation points to transportation points, and getting as close as you can.
Yeah.
So, okay, thank you very much.
Commissioner Cox?
Sure, something quick, and you could answer this, I reckon, Commissioner, there'll be a lot of activity on building when this starts going, and the city hall, when's that anticipated?
Summer. We're gonna start this summer.
That's breaking ground.
I think so. We've already, well, it's in the plan, it's in the design phase right now.
Okay.
And we've already had a couple of votes on it. We just have a new council come in yesterday, so it's still gonna move forward, I'm sure, with the new people that were elected. We'll have to wait and see. As far as I know, it's a done deal. Funding's in place, design is in place, the where it's gonna go is in place, so I think it'll move forward fairly quickly.
Okay, wonderful, thank you.
All right, any other additional comments, questions? None? Abhishek, thank you.
Thank you.
Reports, we have the Sunrunner Corridor Development Tracking Report. Jacob Labutka, Planning Manager, will outline this report. Jacob, what do you got?
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, everybody. Again, I'm Jacob Labutka, Planning Manager here at PSTA. I don't have a presentation for you today, but just wanted to quickly set the stage for the report in your packet today. So I think as many of you will recall throughout the years with our discussions for Sunrunner, one of the primary goals for Sunrunner, in addition to, of course, providing an additional mobility option for folks in Southern Pinellas County, another primary goal of this project is to encourage development along the corridor, or transit-oriented development. And so we as an agency wanted a way to track and look at development along the corridor, except, besides me pointing, going, oh, look, a crane, which I've been doing that a lot over the last few years. So last year we partnered with a local urban development group that tracks development within the St. Pete area called St. Pete Rising. So many of you were here last year when Anthony Close from St. Pete Rising presented a summary of development along the corridor. So now this is essentially that same presentation, but in report form. So it includes a summary of the evaluation and the quantity of development along the corridor. And I'll point out 2 things of interest in the report. About on page 5, there is a description of what is included in the gas plant district proposal that's been the subject of a lot of discussion locally. And in addition, on the last page is a description of some of the next steps that will be involved with the Sunrunner Rising study that looks to evaluate and do community outreach to implement zoning changes to allow for increased density along the corridor. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions you may have along the report or pass along any questions to St. Pete Rising.
Any questions? I have a question. Is this going to be reported at the board next week?
Actually, we haven't discussed that yet. Brad, do you want this to go to the board, or? Yeah, we certainly can.
So my thought is if I haven't looked at the board agenda for next week, but having sat through the committees that feed up to the board, I don't know if there's a ton, is that an actual presentation on this would make sense. We have board members that are new to the development, haven't been following the process all along the way, and need to see kind of repeatedly, how these things are progressing, how we're tracking them, what they're doing to the community, how they're reshaping land use and development along the corridor. Because I feel like sometimes we then get back into the same conversation of like, well, what's it really doing? Or we're just focusing on this one metric and forgetting all these other things. So we need to constantly be, it's nice to get it at this committee level, but we need the whole board to see so that when they're making decisions, they have the context of what transit does in the reshaping of our community, not just how many people got on the bus that month, sort of thing. So I would definitely like to see a presentation that highlights that.
So, no, I can certainly, thank you for that feedback. So, I can work with Anthony from St. Pete Rising to update the previous presentation that was given last fall. I'll also see if he's available to come to the board meeting next week. If not, then I'm happy to make the presentation myself. That's certainly something I can work on.
I will also say if from additional information, something that would be helpful, just again, from a contextual standpoint, is we have a breakdown in the report on what are condos and what are rental residential. But not really a breakdown of what financial demographic those units fall in, right? So are they affordable housing? Are they mid-market? Are they upper level, right? So we hear anecdotally, I see all over, you're pointing out cranes, I can point out Facebook posts of people saying it's another high-rise going for the hoity-toity. Well, I don't know what's actually going in that building. Is it yes, it's an expensive building, but it has a ton of amenities for people at all different levels. And so if we could get more of a breakdown as to how that's affecting the community as a whole, and not just how they're paying for it, right? Because rental or condo is just how they're paying for it, not what market it's serving.
No, absolutely. So one of the things I'll mention is that one of the things we want to start doing with this report is to bring it to you quarterly. So one of the things I can work with for the next quarterly update is to include some relevant information on that.
Okay. Ultimately, the main goal is just to keep reminding us and educating us, and then also informing other stakeholders in the community as far as how it's developing. Yes, Commissioner Albert.
Yeah, I agree with you, because this would be a great setting the table for the development for the Alter 19 project.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they can actually see what the Sunrunner's doing, and it's gonna be the same thing for Alter 19, so the more you can get it out there, the better.
And along those same lines, you can compare value corridors. What was the intrinsic value of a corridor beforehand, and then what sorts of developments did that, right? So if it was more closer to downtown, it was already a higher land value, higher cost. So maybe those were higher cost units, whether they were rented or purchased. And then as it moved into other areas that were more affordable, we also then had more affordable development. So you can kind of see like, okay, so if this was what was there before, and this matches the Alter 19 section, this is what we can expect, we would likely see developers be striving for in those areas. So it becomes something that you can use as a reference point when trying to make determinations otherwise. Because without that information, people just put in whatever they think it will or won't be. So, excellent. Any other questions, comments, thoughts? Brad, you look like you want to say something, but you're sitting on your hands.
No, I was just, I was hoping that the process follows the whole corridor, correct?
Yes.
I mean, including South Pasadena and St. Pete Beach?
Yes.
Yeah. Just don't have any South Pasadenas in the listing.
Yes, I can talk to him about that, but at least from my understanding, I guess, unless I'm mistaken, I guess he just there weren't any new developments that he tracked for the purposes of that project, but I can ask him to take a double look and double check that.
That'd be a good idea.
Yeah.
There haven't been any.
I'm sorry?
There have not been any.
Okay.
Oh,
Thank you.
okay, that answers the question.
I mean, we've had a coffee shop and a Kelly's roast beef, but as far as development, residential or anything like that, nothing. So we're still hopeful.
All right, Jacob, thank you for that. Is there any other business? Any other committee members have any other business to bring before the committee?
No business.
Mr. Chair?
I have something I'd like to add if there's time at the end.
Yes, Whit Blanton from Forward Pinellas.
Thank you. Fresh update, just hot off the press from yesterday. You were talking earlier about the State Road 60, Tampa International to Beach Express option. The Florida Department of Transportation has agreed to undertake a corridor study for State Road 60, with the limits potentially being the beach to Rocky Point, effectively Tampa International Airport. And the reason for that is we had a meeting with Pinellas County staff about the DOT potentially taking over the PD&E study for the Belcher and Gulf to Bay interchange project or intersection. We don't really know what it's going to be yet, but it's going to be expensive. And I suggested that rather than just focus on one interchange project, we look at the entire corridor. The department thought that was a good idea, so the county has money set aside for the interchange project in FY25, which will begin this October. We'll probably pull from that money to begin the corridor study and get it started this year. We will include a focus on transit as well as multimodal improvements to address the congestion that occurs getting from downtown to the beach, as well as connecting potentially to the airport and other modest improvements along the corridor. I just wanted to bring it to your attention. It's not scoped or anything yet, but that was significant progress yesterday. So we'll keep you updated as we begin to scope that.
All right, question, actually at our last meeting, our finance committee meeting just before this, we were discussing about possible connections to St. Pete Clearwater Airport, out to Clearwater, or downtown to St. Pete. Are those included in study plans or anything?
Not probably in the State Road 60 corridor plan, but that's something we continue to talk about and think about. And we can certainly include something about that in our new adopted long-range plan that will be developed this year. But it's a matter of, where would the funding come from for that kind of service? And what would it look like and how frequent would it be?
It seemed like there was an interest, at least on the finance committee level, to look at that from a tourist standpoint and bring, one of our county commissioners noted that, St. Pete Clearwater is a higher tourist airport versus business travelers.
Right.
And so, figuring out how we can get those folks out to the beach or into downtown St. Pete where they can then take the Sunrunner out to St. Pete Beach, that sort of stuff.
I'd be happy to work on that with PSTA.
Okay.
Sure.
Commissioner Albritton?
When are they planning on opening the road going by PIA?
That's been a source of discussion. That originally was supposed to open in February. They have pushed that back because of some inability to get some signs manufactured, I think is the latest delay. Part of it will probably open in May, and then the full project will be complete in the summer, is what I'm hearing. So we're a couple months away.
It's ready to go.
World's longest project.
Well, and Commissioner Cox is willing to stand out there with signs if you need extra signage. It'll be intermittent. He'll be out there.
No, I'm not fond of that.
Thank you for that update. Commissioner Fix Sanders, you had something?
I do. I was glad when I walked in to see Whit today, because I just want to commend the PSTA that I've grown to love and respect. I called Brad at like the last minute because the Alliance for Bayway Isles, the last couple of meetings that I've attended, because that is in my district, they've had a lot of conversation about the 34th Street transit project. And I called Brad and asked if he would come to speak on behalf of PSTA, just in case that monopolized the meeting again. And he couldn't make it. Jacob did a great job. He was there, ready to answer questions. Whit showed up. He was there. And every morning for the city of St. Petersburg, at the last minute, they showed up and they were there. So I just wanted to say thank you for always being so client or customer oriented, where you will drop what you're doing to make sure that PSTA met the need, especially when it comes down to community outreach and having that conversation, because I'm not sure everybody would have done it, but to have all of the areas of transportation at this meeting, you weren't invited, but you were there, right? I invited you. But I was so glad that it didn't veer off that way. It normally did, and we actually had FDOT there as well. But I just want to thank you guys because it was a last minute request, but everybody was there to answer questions and concerns. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Now, that neighborhood is in that corridor?
They're concerned about the losing a lane on South 34th.
Mhm.
And they're
Well,
very concerned about that.
If it being in that corridor, I appreciate that we actually had a meeting for our community members in that corridor versus Brad, can you share when the next meeting, I know that there's a meeting coming up with Representative Cheney, the date and time of when that meeting is gonna be. While that's not happening in the corridor, this is the topic of conversation is.
It's not even in St. Pete.
No.
The one that's-
It's the 25th, it's the 25th at 6 o'clock in St. Pete Beach.
Right, Representative Cheney is holding a town hall on Monday, this coming Monday, the 25th, 6 o'clock at the St. Pete Beach Community Center.
Okay. I just, I mentioned it earlier that I had trouble finding information about that town hall when just searching online. And so I wanted to make sure that we had an opportunity, at least here, for the 4 people that are probably watching our meeting to know that that's taking place. And great to hear that we also have meetings happening with people that are directly affected by those changes versus people that are not.
And I will point out again, at our track committee, and I understand at Fort Pinellas also, there's a lot of discussion about the location and, of where public comment is made is typically done near the project in question. I know there was public comment opportunity in St. Petersburg prior to approval of the project years ago. I think that's not well known or not remembered.
Mhm.
But the city of St. Petersburg has been emphasizing to me that there has been public comment. Lots of people have attended. And then there'll be this opportunity in St. Pete Beach on Monday. At the track, at our riders committee yesterday, they asked questions too. Why is this not somewhere closer to where in St. Petersburg, or the people that use that route?
Or in a municipality that is a member of PSTA. That being said, I think it's good that people are getting together to discuss things. I wish it had been more accessible to the folks that are affected. And I also recall that St. Pete had public forums, but for the public, it's important to realize that this is not a PSTA project, right? This is an FDOT project. And in my conversation with Brad, PSTA is supportive of anything that helps us do our job easier, but this is not our project. And so we need to make sure that if the public has concerns or thoughts, that they're directing them towards the agency and group that is responsible for those decisions.
And that's not readily known.
It's not, and I get it, because if someone hears bus lanes, they're automatically going to assume it's the transit agency that is doing that. So I get that, but just because you don't know, it doesn't mean that we can just continue that. So we need to, kind of like the transportation oriented development, we need to constantly keep saying these things so that people go, oh, that's right, I remember that. Commissioner Cox.
Yeah, Robin and I live in that area, and there's been a great deal of the infrastructure already done, the sidewalks, the well-improved cutouts at the intersections, for pedestrians, for those that are mobility impaired. There's new stoplights that are going in. There's been a lot of work done already, and I'm so for this project, and if you see all of the multi-unit dwellings that are going up right now, that's your district, right? Yeah. And this is good, and anyway, do we have a copy of the agenda for this meeting on the 25th?
Yes, I can share it.
Please, will you?
Just a couple, in the spirit of Commissioner Schulman's repeat, say the same thing over and over. As Heather's presentation last board meeting about this and all the other studies that are going on noted, PSTA's involvement with this project is that we have received a service development grant from the Florida DOT to add over our existing service on US 19, express, limited express service to go faster, from where the route starts at Eckerd College all the way up to Pinellas Park. We will provide that service. We can provide that service with or without the bus and turn lanes, but as you mentioned, it will definitely be better, at least in that stretch of the corridor, if the lanes are there. Another maybe lesser known fact, because I think it was just recently decided, and Whit might be able to explain more, but it's my understanding that the Florida DOT, again, this is part of their resurfacing project, they have decided that the lanes will not be red. They will just be regular asphalt, sort of a value engineering cost saving measure that they told us about. But they just the lanes will be striped. The striping will say, just like they do on the Sun Runner bus and turn lane. And it'll be basically a right-hand turn lane into the development on the right-hand side, but it'll just be a black lane with white striping.
They'll have signage and pavement markings.
Yeah.
That's really it. And it was to save money because the price of asphalt has gone dramatically higher. And if the department didn't value engineer projects as they were in construction, working with the contractor, the work program would fall apart statewide. So they're doing this on all projects. It's not, they weren't singling this one out. And if they can save a little bit of money on asphalt, they're gonna do it. So we're okay with that.
Will it have the same impact?
It will have the same impact. It might be a little less easy to enforce, but there's not a whole lot of enforcement going on the First Avenues anyway. So it's probably a visual reminder that helps, but the signage and pavement markings will be there. So probably less than ideal, but it's still, I think, will be effective.
And if it's not effective, because once it's done. Like, you're not gonna pull up the asphalt when you have some money and.
We'll wait for the next resurfacing.
And can I just say something? And what, does this not, with the widening of the sidewalks on the west side, help improve, safety for bicyclists and pedestrians?
I mean, the whole thing is a safety project in my mind. It's not a transit project, it's a safety project. We're adding transit to the safety project. This was originally an application from the city of St. Pete for a complete streets grant. And the sidewalks were the main component of that grant, but we're also lowering the speed limit on 34th Street to 40 miles an hour, and DOT will consider lowering it even further to 35. And the reason they're lowering the speed limit is they're narrowing the lane widths. I'm not sure I want to mention that on Monday. A couple of the lanes will be 10 feet, and then the outside lane will be 11 or 12 feet, I'm not sure. For the buses.
I know, my wife and I both knowing this, being bicyclists, we were, that 19 wasn't very safe, you'd have to go to the trail on 37. Or
Which is
back
pretty
over to
skinny.
30, or 31st Street, so anyway.
Yep.
It's all good.
Well, I think with all the apartments coming in there, you're gonna have more people
You bet.
using transit, more people walking, more people doing things like that. It's not drive-by territory anymore.
There you go.
Well, and ultimately, I think it's a testament to the St. Pete City Council and the foresight there, Forward Pinellas, FDOT, looking at this and saying, how can the people that are here best utilize this space in whichever way they choose to engage with that space, as opposed to what we'll likely hear from people that are opposed to the project is they don't do any of that other stuff, so they don't want it. And that's not a community, that's self-preservation and just getting what you want. So, thank you for sure. We have the date and time, Monday the 25th, for the town hall with Representative Cheney, somewhere in Pinellas County, I guess. No, it's St. Pete Beach. At least it's in Pinellas. At 6 p.m. If anybody would like to attend. Any other items? Commissioner Gow, you don't want to get out of here. I got it.
No, I love this place. No, just actually the town hall that's going to happen on Monday. I applaud her for having it. Actually, I think that should have been step one, as opposed to what we went through this past legislative session. At least talk to the public in an open session and not just throw crap on a table. Sorry, Representative. But actually, I think it should be just the beginning. I think it's something that we should all be doing in all our communities. I was just talking to Wick before this meeting. I just don't know who drives that train, right, or that bus for this organization. You know, should it be a state representative holding those? Should we ask our Pinellas County delegation for each one to hold one of those? Because we should be talking about transportation all the time, to try and get rid of misinformation and to get people understanding exactly what we're trying to achieve instead of living in our own little silos. And it's self-preservation as opposed to what's good for the community. I just don't know what to do with that. I know that I'm gonna go back to my commission and see if there isn't some way that we can hold something like this. And so I would ask for any other elected official to maybe go back to their towns. And we don't want to wear Ford Pinellas out, so now they're on the road every week hitting different communities. But some sort of measurement so that where does transportation and solving this problem should be an ongoing conversation, not just project oriented and then we all forget about it in the next project. So I just wanted to make that comment and just ask you guys to go back and do that. I think Safety Rising, and the fact, thank you, Josh, for asking for this to be brought to the board level. And I think while this is something that's being done in St. Pete, it doesn't mean it's not something that couldn't happen in all of our communities. Or it's the way that we should be looking at transit and the impact it has on communities. And so this would be something that I could take back to Dunedin and say, hey, in our State Road 580 corridor, this is something that we could achieve, and this is some of the impacts we could have. So just using what St. Pete is modeling, actually, what we could do throughout the county. Because I really do think if Pinellas County got the act together and we were all driving in the same direction, we could transform transportation in the entire state. And so it's just a matter of what we want to achieve. Anyway, so that's my comment.
Do you have something?
Just, yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Mr. Cox.
no, I'm thinking of, isn't it House Bill 1031, Brad, that has to do with the lane diets? There has to be a 2/3.
1301, yeah.
1301. Is that signed into law now?
Not yet.
No, not yet.
Not yet.
It was approved by the legislature, but it hasn't been signed.
So would that affect this?
It won't affect this.
Okay.
It would affect future
Future projects.
lane repurposing.
I'm gonna hit you.
Thank you.
All right. Seeing no further comment, I have five more. We are adjourned. Our next meeting for the planning committee is April 17th. Nope, yep, yes, April 17th, but we have our board meeting next week, correct? Yes. So look forward to seeing everybody at our next board meeting. Thank you so much.
Have a great day.
And congratulations to Chair Albritton.
I'm sure I'm here on time. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice to see you.
Thank you, nice to
See
meet
you
you.
next time.
I know. Well, we got the, we got Western.
So why do you think there is as much development along the corridor?